Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of a special version of the Bobby Brown Show entitled Union Power with Bob TV. I'm your host, Bob TV. And today we're going to talk about this particular subject right here. There's a new law that got some traction and gained some victory today, protecting the rights of workers. Now, you already know my story. You know, I'm a union organizer on the job, shop steward, did some work with TWU, did some work with SEIU 32BJ, and I'm looking forward to doing more work with 32BJ, working with their media department and the political department, and trying to make sure I'm looking pretty decent up here. And we're going to talk about this particular law that was brought up and get some details on it because they say it's victory. Let's take a look at this. Now, understand here in New York, again, we're trying to do whatever we can to make it easier for people to unionize, especially without being threatened to lose their job. I mean, the corporate ability to try to radicalize people against unions with their anti-union campaign, having meetings to tell people not to join a union. Like, we are your union. You can join us. We're family. We have a culture. We have an environment. We're family-friendly business. Yeah, bro. Sure. You fired me as a result of my child getting in an accident at school, busting her head wide open. You wouldn't even try to let me get off of work to go check on it. Or it happened before I got to work and I called in and you say, hey, I'm still going to have to write you up. There need to be some drastic changes when it comes to union organizing. Some drastic changing when it comes to union organizing. I've been a union organizer for a while. I love the job. It's not as easy as people think it is because you got to go out here and meet working people who you don't know and try to establish a relationship with them. Then you got to build what you call turf. You got to do that with a lot of people, a lot of the workers. And your goal is to get them to see how a union will benefit them inside a company, how they'll benefit them personally, or how they benefit them in the whole. And in that work, you have to spend a lot of time on the phone with them. You have to spend quality time with them off the job. You have to sneak ways to get contact with them while they're on the job, but you can't do it while they're at work. You got to wait till a break, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like a sales game. A lot of people don't come to this country, don't realize what union organizing has done for this country and what it can do for you. I will never down talk union organizing. I would never down talk it, even though I have organizing priorities now. But union organizing is a bedrock to this country. And if it wasn't for union organizing, we wouldn't have a lot of civil rights in this country. We wouldn't have a lot of workers' rights in this country. We wouldn't have the change of pay. We will still be on the bottom of the totem pole, which we still are on the bottom of the totem pole, but we will be there. So, let's take a look at this law and get into this. What's up, whatever, man? How you doing? All right, so let me pull up the display. House Democrat passed bill that would protect worker organizing effort. Now understand this probably get killed in the Senate. It is highly likely to get killed in the Senate because not only most Republicans are going to vote against this, but you got them same old corporate Democrats that's going to vote against this too in the Senate. So when you see something pass in the House, that doesn't mean it's an opportunity to really celebrate. Because this thing could be off the charts good, but they'll still vote it down just like they did with the $15 minimum wage effort. To try to protect Joe Biden, to try to protect Kamala Harris from looking like losers, and putting the blame on them, we had 6 Senate Democrats voting no on $15 an hour minimum wage, pretty much telling their constituency, you can suck my knuckles. You can kiss my, screw all you. Screw me? You talking screw me? I'm the one put your butt in the office. Screw me? No, screw you, because now you're not going to get me to vote for you, and I don't care what kind of boogeyman you put in my face. I ain't voting for you. House Democrats approved the bill that would provide protection for workers, this is according to AP, trying to organize a measure that is the labor movement's single biggest legislative priority in this Congress. Actually, the labor movement number one priority is still on that $15 minimum wage. Don't get me wrong, this would help unions organize. The bill passed Tuesday with 225 to 206, with 5 Republicans joining Democrats in favor of it. With 5 Republicans joining Democrats in favor of it, which is good because they can claim bipartisan effort with 5. But like I said, AP agrees the bill is unlikely to advance to the Senate given a lack of Republican support for the legislation. Well, if you got 5 Republicans in the House that joined the Democrats, then you need to be utilizing those 5 Republicans to talk some sense in the people in the Senate. That's what you call whipping up votes. You got to get to work on this, Joe Biden. You got to get to work on this, Kamala Harris, instead of sitting there looking pretty, thinking I'm a president and I ain't got to get my nails dirty. Now, Kamala has no political sway. She's lucky she's in that office. Her career was done after the presidential race. She had to drop out. So Joe Biden saved her. But she has no political sway, but Joe Biden do. Because Joe Biden got a long-term relation. Joe Biden have long-term relationship with all these Republicans, and with majority of these Republicans, especially the seasoned ones, and majority of the Democrats. He should be joining them together, both in the House and the Senate, especially in the House. Union leaders say the Protecting the Rights to Organize Act, or the PRO Act, will finally begin to level a playing field they say is unfairly tilted toward big business and management, making union organizing drives and elections unreasonably difficult. The PRO Act would protect and empower workers to exercise our freedom to organize and bargain, according to Richard Trumka, president of AFL-CIO. He told NPR in a recent interview. It's a game changer. If you really want to correct inequality in this country, wages and wealth inequality, opportunity and quality of power passing through the PRO Act is absolutely essential in doing that. Now, I can go into another segment talking about wealth and quality for who. Because most people who, let me not even go there. Say that for another day. The bill passed the Democratic-controlled House when it was introduced last year, but it was never taken up by the GOP majority Senate, and of course, because they wasn't going to vote for it. This time, Democrats narrowly control, they don't control it. They don't control it. You can't count independents as a given, and you definitely can't count a Republican-leaning Democrat as a given, and you definitely can't count a corporate-centric president of the Senate to be with this either, because they're going to do whatever they can to protect her in this situation. Democrats narrowly control the Senate, but not by enough votes to overcome a filibuster, which means the measure is likely dead once again. President Biden, a close ally of labor, who earlier this month came out forcefully in support of Amazon workers' union drive in Alabama, backed the legislation. Of course, you got to. Don't impress me. Nearly 60 million Americans would join a union if they get a chance, but too many employers and states prevent them from doing so through anti-union attacks, Biden said in a statement on Tuesday. With Biden, Unless you did some union organizing, you got to understand that is not so. With this generation right here, an up and coming generation, most of them don't see the benefit of having a union. You have to educate them on that. So don't sit here and say 60 million Americans would join a union. You don't know that. They know that unions, they can run the table on workers, unions and non-unions alike. Talking about corporations. Big business groups are lined up against the measure. The U.S. Chambers of Commerce, of course, said the act would undermine working rights. I guess so. I guess you would say that. Undermine workers' rights. How would union organizing undermine working rights? You mean your rights to undermine the workers? Ensnare employers in unrelated labor disputes. Very rarely have labor disputes unless they violate a company policy and the company demand that the labor step in to do something about it. Disrupt the economy. How is that going to disrupt the economy? High-paid labor corporations are the backbone of this country. I mean, not labor corporations, but highly paid companies that pay their workers high dollar amounts based on union organizing, union campaigns, and union negotiations for a contract. They boast the economy. They also force individuals, Americans, to pay union dues regardless of their wishes. Well, in this bill, not only will you be, you got to pay union dues, of course. And guys, understand union dues are so much pennies on the dollar on what you make. Like, for an example, for every $15 an hour you make, or every $100 you make a day, probably about 50 cents of that is going toward union dues. My union dues was, on my old job, was less than $12 a week. $24 a month. These people are lying. Let me keep going. A forced individual pay union. Also, in this bill, this is me talking, Bob TV. In the bill, there's a measure where we can go back to making union dues tax deductible, because you're investing in an organization. And anytime you invest in an organization, be it from church all the way down to your local Meals on Wheels, you should get a tax write-off. Because the corporation, they take advantage of every little lame tax law they can find. The National Retail Federation, another corporate kiss-up, has called it the worst bill in Congress. Let me tell you something. Have you seen the National Retail Federation building? The thing is elaborate. Worst bill in Congress. Yeah, for you, but not for working people. Here are just 5 provisions of the PRO Act. There's more than that, and we're going to go into detail Sunday. Number 1, so-called right-to-work laws in more than 24 states allow workers in union representation workplace to opt out of the union and not pay union dues. At the same time, such workers are still covered under the wage and benefit provision of the union contract. In other words, they can, now, if you don't pay union dues, because they're a union company, if you don't pay your union dues, the union still have to represent you if the company decide to attack you in any way, shape, or form. The union going to have to foot the bill for the attorney, and the union going to have to foot the bill to go through this whole entire process to get you your job back if they get you your job back through arbitration. The PRO Act would allow unions to override such law and collect dues from those who opt out in order to cover the cost of collective bargaining and administration of the contract. And that's how it is in New York. We're a pro-union state. If you're going to work for a unionized company, you got to pay dues. Either you're going to work for a unionized company, pay your investment, those dues, and gain the benefits of being involved with the union, or you go work with some suck-up corporation that's going to fire you as soon as you blink your eye. Your fart smell like collard greens. Number 2, employee interference and influence in union elections will be forbidden. Here in New York, we don't play that. You can't be out here telling people vote no against the union and wear a pin in the button like one lady did on my old job when we were organizing for TWU to come in as our union. She come out there knowing she's a product of unionism herself, wearing a shirt saying vote no to the union and trying to get the workers to wear that. Well, guess what? They fired her behind for drinking. Allegedly. Companies will not be able to do classes with mandatory attendance, shaming the union and telling people why they shouldn't. They're often used to lobby against a union organizing drive. Such meeting will be illegal. Illegal. No more union propaganda lying on your unions. Additionally, employees would be able to cast a ballot in union organizing election at a location away from company property. Away from company property. Companies don't want you voting for what they believe is going to be a nemesis to them in their building. Some of these companies don't even want a union in the building. Some of these companies, like my old job, we used to have a union office in the building right next to the boss's office, not too far. The union control scheduling. The union control a whole lot of stuff. Vacation distribution and time off for work. The union did that. This company didn't want none of that and fought hard not to get that to happen. And the TWU team caved to that. And I was on that team, and I said, no, we ain't caving to that. No, the workers should have somebody controlling who gives them vacation and who gives them the time off for work and stuff like that, not the freaking company. Often even successful union organizers' drive failed to result in an agreement on the first contract between labor and management. The PRO Act will remedy that by allowing newly certified unions to seek arbitration and mediation to settle such impasse in negotiations. In other words, you got a union contract, the contract is due, it's time to redo the union contract, and the company want to hee-haw, buck, scream, cry, pull away, like little kids scared to get on the Monster roller coaster or scared to go in a haunted house. Bunch of punks. Doing that on purpose so it can revert to the deal falling and they only do what's in the old contract because that's just the way it is. The law also will prevent any employer from using its employees' immigration status against them when determining the terms of their employment. And you're going to get a lot of backup from Republicans on that. You're going to get a lot of backup from Republicans on that. And you're going to take a lot of regular workers off, too, because these workers been on the job, especially if it's a workers' co-op. But these people been on the job for a while. They're making $20 an hour. And then, you got some people who have immigration issue coming in and making the same amount of money. Is that fair to them when some of them just got here and they've been doing it for 10 years? No. But you do got some employees, they want to know where you from, where you come from and everything like that before they hire you. That's why when I put in the application, I do not sign in the gender category. I do not sign in the color category. I sign under disability, but I shouldn't. Because who cares? As long as I can do the job, give me the job. And last but not least, just 5 measures, it would establish monetary penalties for companies and executives that violate workers' rights. Company, corporate directors, and other officers of the company could also be held liable. Now, this is good because companies on purpose violate workers' rights, and you have no way of backing that up unless a union can find a case to fight that person on. And because it's such a tedious task, a lot of unions don't want to waste the energy, time, or money, because especially when they see it's not going to go anywhere because the law is not in their favor. It's like a waste of time. You know, one time I got fired from a unionized job, and the company wanted me to not try to get my job back and just settle for the unemployment. If not, they're going to fight me on the unemployment. So they try to put me in the catch-22. Don't try to get your job back. We'll give you your unemployment. Fool, you're going to give me my unemployment anyway because I work. What my job has to do with that? I put in 6 long, hard years with you. I love working here. I don't love you. I'll be glad when they replace you, MTA. Replace you with another vendor. But I love my job. So no, I'm going to fight my job. So I risk my unemployment fighting for a job that I love. And because we have arbitrators that are in the pocket of some unions, I have to admit, an arbitrator in the pocket of some corporation, oftentimes the corporation end up winning most of the arbitration. And they felt like mine's not worthy going to arbitration. I had video evidence the trains was late. Date, time, the train and everything where they can back it up, and they still pursued to fire me and did not want me to get unemployment. You talking about a scum of a company. Global Contact Services. Never ever worked there. You'll be a fool if you do. All right, so here's the deal. It passed the Senate. Whoop-de-freaking do. It passed the Senate. Question is, will it really pass? I mean, it passed the House. The question is, will it pass the Senate? No. Why? Because this administration do not want to fight. Those Republicans, when Trump was in office, was fighting you tooth and toenail. Mitch McConnell was making it hard for you. He resists you. And the Republicans fell in line. They didn't care about whether Trump liked it or not. That's what's going to happen. Joe Biden's not going to fight for this, even though he claimed that he's going to be the most pro-union president in the history of the world. Bruh. You mean you got to beat FDR? And I think FDR didn't do that much. He could have did more for unions. You got to beat that guy. Mr. Joe Corporation, Mr. Joe, Delaware, Delaware, not Maryland, but Delaware, the home of the tax-free haven, the home of financial industries who put money in his pocket. Joe Biden, the man who took money from union-busting organizations and attorneys and lawyers. It's going to be the pro-union president in history? Get out of here. This thing is DOA, dead on arrival. And I didn't even go through what's the other stuff that's in the bill that's even good. Good stuff in the bill. The point is DOA, because even though the House passed it, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and most of these cronies are not going to go out there and try to whip the votes. Joe Biden's not going to go out there and try to talk to his Republican counterparts. The few Republicans that voted on this in the House, they're not going to leave the House and go down to the other side of the aisle of the Capitol building and try to have a little dinner and try to talk to them and push them and explain to them that this would be good for your constituents, because your constituents want to see somebody who's fighting for them. And most of these people are fighting for their lives. And that's the reason why they're joining unions, because it gives them life. It gives them a breath of fresh air, that there can be more benefits. There can be more money. Right now, the unions here in New York have organized to do a bunch of good stuff. We've gotten the workers 5, now 7 paid sick days. 5, now 7 paid sick days. The only issue I had, which should have been changed by de Blasio, is they should have put a measure in there saying you cannot force your workers you cannot replace this for vacation time. You have to negotiate for vacation time. Most decent companies, at least, even some horrible companies, at least offer vacation time. It don't have to be negotiated. So therefore, when you're using your sick time, it's not, you have your sick time over here. Here in New York is 7 days now, paid. You could take time off, whether you're sick or slick. Just don't do it back to back in 3 days, because then you got to prove you were sick. But whether you're sick or slick, you got 7 paid days off. The company have to pay you regardless. A year. And some companies do not attach that to their holiday or their vacation pay. But then you got some companies like Yulin of America, which works at airports all over the country, baggage check and claim check, people like that. They want to force their workers to use their sick time for vacation time. And they can't do that back to back, because 3 days, you got to prove that you're sick. Now, I believe they recently adjusted that, but it's ridiculous. That's why here in New York, the unions have pushed city council and the mayor, whether it be de Blasio, Lord God, I hope it ain't Andrew Yang, whether it be Yang, I'd rather have somebody that's been here from the beginning. A real true New Yorker represent New York, not a visitor. It's like me from Florida trying to be the mayor of New York. I'm not going to do nothing stupid like that. We're trying to push the pressure on them to do 10 paid time off days. 10. It passed city council. Now we got to go through the process of getting the mayor to sign it. Governor Cuomo ain't going to make it a state law, so you got to make it a local law. It doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get 10 PTO days on top of your 7 paid sick days. That's 17 days all paid if we pass, and when we pass this. 17 days off. Most people don't get none of that. And this needs to happen. And if you live in New York, you need to be on your state legislator on this, and you need to be on your U.S. congressman, like mine's Jamal Bowman and all. They claim they're for PTO. They need to be a little more aggressive for that. They need to show up at the events. They need to leave Washington, D.C. You don't represent the United States. You represent that particular state in the United States, and you need to stop doing for others and focus on home. I've never seen AOC at any organizing meeting in New York, are full of them, until the night before the election day. All of a sudden, she's going to pop up in the farmer's market over there in Bronx and Hunts Point. She's going to pop up. Yeah, you popped up all right. You popped up because you're scared to go to that inauguration. And just admit it. So you got to get the press, or you got to find some way to make it like you're really, really going to fight for these workers. No, you're trying, that it's just happened to be that you found an organization rally that you can say, I'm not going to the inauguration. I'm going over there and hanging with my workers. No, you ain't going that way. Ain't no workers. You're going over there because you're scared Trump people are going to get you. Stop lying. But when Bernie Sanders and her and Cory Bush and all of them was here in Long Island City, I personally told the union, don't give them no endorsement until they come out and speak on behalf of these workers at the airport. None of them showed up. Bernie did tweet it, but no, you got to show up. Your showing up will bring momentum to these workers. You're here in town anyway. You did a great speech in Long Island, 10,000 people. You're here in town anyway. Once you're done, hop on to the airport and support these workers and call out these companies. The unions work together with Port Authority to establish wage increases. By 2022, they'll be at $19 an hour minimum wage. LaGuardia, JFK, and EWR in Jersey. The minimum wage would be $19 an hour. You're going to see some people who thought they were uppity. They're going to go take whatever their job they can get at the airport because it's $19 an hour. I myself might do a little work at the airport overnight, a little part-time job, $19 an hour. I can use it. Right now, they just passed the Healthy Terminal Act, offering health care to all the workers at the airport. Unions did this. This is why you need to be a part of a union, or you need to organize a union campaign at your job. And if you are at a job and you want to organize a union campaign, go to my inbox and or go in the comment section and let me know the name of your organization and what you do, and I'll work with you to find a union to come over there and get you started. Because I care about this. The only way you're going to get true wage increase is not waiting on these numbnuts over here in D.C. You got 6 Democrats voted against $15 minimum wage, which is supposed to be the bedrock of the Democratic platform. Don't wait on them. You can go out there and do it yourself, you and your union. Because that's what the unions did with the airports. $19 an hour, Healthy Terminal Act. You can do that with your company. 10 PTO days, 7 sick days, all because of union organizers. I'm done, people. I highly doubt this goes to the Senate. There's no excuse why it's dead on arrival. It's dead on arrival because Joe Biden won't use his power to whip up the votes. I will work with those Republicans in the House and the Democrats in the House, those Republicans that did vote for this. I'll work with them together. Joe Biden will, if I was Joe Biden, I'll work with them together to go over to Capitol Hill and meet with some of these senators and talk about the benefit that this vote can do for them for us getting reelected. See, I don't care what party you're in. As long as you're doing right by the people, I want you being elected over and over and over again. Because you're doing your job. You're working for the people, you realize it, and you're beholden to the people and nobody else because the people put you there. So I'm done with this, man. If I was you, I would call your local congressman and senator and tell them to support this act. If your senators, if your House of Representative, if you have a representative from the House of Representatives that's one of those Republicans that voted for the bill, try to work with that guy. Try to work with her, him, or whatever to get that passed, to go work on the other Republicans in your state that represent your state. Because this is a huge benefit to America. Like I said, to me, the easiest way to get a wage increase is pushing union organization or doing a ballot initiative. Because we got too many of these pump politicians that sold out the corporation. They don't want to work for you. They want to appear to work for you. But appearance doesn't mean reality all the time. So I'm Robert Brown with this episode of a special episode of Union Power, which I rarely do. I'm going to start this show up again. I got my good friend Kiba. Me and Kiba used to work for 32BJ. We're going to be real serious about building up a channel dedicated to union organizing and helping unions get more people involved in them. And that's what I want to do. And that's what she's going to do. So anyway, holla at you later. And you have a good day. Talk to you later. Peace.